Welcome to Canadian Freedom, right? And this has been coming up the last few months again. It started a couple years ago when we were coming out of the pandemic in Canada because of the monthly payments from CERB. It was brought up at the time, the U.B.I, or Universal Basic Income. And the reason it's come up lately is because the Liberals have been polling so badly, they need to pull a rabbit out of a hat. And I think a lot of people are saying there's nothing the Liberals can do to fix anything from the mess they've caused, but to try to throw out U.B.I. Basically, to pay everybody $2,000 a month to vote for them. That sounds pretty darn close to communism. Well, let's not beat around the bush. Basically, it is. You're going to take the money we pay in people who are working into the big tax fund and then spread it to everybody. I'm pretty sure that's communism. While the people at the top will be getting the most of the money and controlling everything. So that's why it's coming up. I saw Melissa Landsman, basically deputy leader. I think she's around Toronto MP, somewhere around there, Conservative MP. Always sitting to the left of Pierre in the House. She was trying to make the case for it, which is kind of concerning. I saw a video where somebody was talking about how it could actually save money when they did the math if you got rid of the welfare system, EI, and CPP, all the other social programs, and just gave everybody this system. But I don't know how feasible that is. How that would work with people who made a lot more money. So to me, it's not something that has been proven to work. And we're not in a position to try something right now with the deficit the way it is, the amount of debt this country has, and how much we will be paying to service the debt. It's pretty scary. But I'll go back to, would it work if it worked in other countries? So let's take a look at something. Okay, so what we have here is a map of the world, obviously. And we have different colors, but basically what this is like it says, but this is from worldpopulationreview.com. They have countries with universal basic income for 2024, basically leading into 2024, but previous years there's a breakdown. But if you'd look, so you have orange, which is, it's been discussed. Green means it's fully in place, a U.B.I. Partial, here in this greenish blue color. Red for there's a pilot program running, and welfare and pilot program. So it says we've done a pilot program here in the U.S., which we'll get into below, as well as a couple, Britain, Finland, India, and a couple African countries. But if you'll notice on the map here, which is most interesting, which countries or who have it fully in place where we could learn from. Iran, start date 2010, end date 2016, fully in place. Interesting. If you look at the map, there's no other map that had it fully in place, a U.B.I system, besides Iran. We have lots of disgust. We have a partial in South Korea. So let's go down and look at some details. So here it kind of explains the different ways, some pros and cons. So let's look. This is the chart that breaks it down. Let's look at so Canada first. Here it says there was a pilot program that ran in the 70s, and no charge in unemployment rates. Recent 2017 test provided roughly 4,000 people monthly equivalent. So there's been some similar programs in a small population area, and I guess there was no real results, even whether they kept track of it properly to see did any of these mini programs they run make life better for anybody, or was basically it looks like a waste of time. Let's go to Iran. What do we say here? It just says under subsidy reform plan. So it doesn't even give us any information, likely because the country is run by a terrorist regime. It'd be hard to find out any social programs there. And then the other one, South Korea, partially issues quarterly allowance to citizens of Guyang province age 24 or older can only be used in local businesses. So the money that they would give out, you have to use for local businesses. I did hear about something that ran in Alaska, and I think Alberta at one point did something similar. Basically, they pay, one in Alaska, they pay, it's almost like a dividend funded. So from the oil and gas revenues, all the people in that state get basically like a dividend check as a part of that. So it's kind of like a universal basic income. Everybody shares in, resource development. Now, doing something like that, to me, makes way more sense. Leave the system we have in place. I'm sure there things can be fixed or added, subtracted, or whatever. But if we had the provincial crown company running resource development and selling it on the markets, maybe everybody got a portion. No matter who you are, you're part of this province, you got to get in on the resources. Something like that to me sounds like it would work. But this U.B.I. idea to me just seems too much like a socialist comment. Like, I don't trust this liberal government to be able to do anything properly. I think it would bankrupt us. It just would not work. Now, I'm not an expert, but with the way things are going, I just don't. I think it would mess around with our economy way too much. People who are making, just above minimum wage monthly, working in businesses, do they just say screw it? I'm just not going to work for $2,000 a month instead of making $2,500 a month. And then those people leave, which affects the businesses and the people who aren't working. Just giving them money, that you're not gaining any pride from it. There's a certain amount of pride that comes from working and earning that money, and that would still be lacking. So I'm not in favor of universal basic income, and I'm not saying that because I know there are people who struggle out there, but I just don't think it would work. And I do not trust this government for 1 second with the corruption, the scandals, the unbelievable wasteful spending. I just don't trust them. If we had balanced budgets, everybody was well off, we had productivity rates were high, everything was going really well in this country, and they took a province and they tested it for 5 or 10 years and it turned out really well, then great. I just don't think we're in a place for this. I think it would cost the economy way too much. It would mess with businesses. And and that would all be just so that Trudeau can hang on to his job, and I'm not for that. Tell me what you think about universal basic income, UBI. Do you think it would work? Do you think we can afford to do that right now? Do you think it's going to save Trudeau's job if he were to announce that's what they want to do? Let me know. Thanks for joining me.